Hey everyone, it's Alison Heikkila. Thank you so much for joining me. It's time for my latest video for Imagine, and as you might be able to tell, we're doing some scrapbooking today. This is an absolutely adorable photo of my son when he was 4. This post-it is here because there is another child in this photo and I don't have permission to share their face on screen, so they're covered up, and with the process that we're doing today, we'll be hiding his face anyway. So we're going to focus on my boy, and we're going to make a fun scrapbook page with some inks and some die cuts and fun things like that. So I've got a piece of 12 by 12 craft cardstock. I'm just working with colors that are in the photo here. So there's a lot of browns and neutrals, but then we've got all of these pops of color here, and that is going to be the basis of what we're going to do first. So move this off to the side. You can see that I have prepared a whole lot of die cuts. These are from a various number of sets, mostly Lawn Fawn. This is from the Reverse Stitch Scallop Circles. This larger die is actually from Elizabeth Craft Designs because this die only embosses this stitched edge, and obviously I wanted the circle to be cut out, so I needed to use a larger circle to do that, and this fit perfectly together. This one is from the Heart Shaker tag, also from Lawn Fawn. This is from the same set of Elizabeth Craft dies. These are no longer available. You can just use circle dies. I wanted to use a lot of Lawn Fawn because I love the stitched edge. You can see here that this doesn't have a stitched edge, and that's okay. The stitched edge is on the outside, so like for shakers and things like that. These two squares are from the small stitched square Stackables from Lawn Fawn. Anything that I can link below will be in the description box so that you can click on them and go right to wherever they can be purchased. Okay, so I've got all of these die cut out, and maybe we'll start with inking before we do anything else. This way I don't keep having to shift everything for you. I have a bunch of colors of inks from Imagine. I've got Love Letter, Cantaloupe, Tangelo, Dandelion. I'm not sure which of these we're going to wind up using. I've got New Sprout and Paris Dusk. I don't really think we're going to use all of these. I don't really think I'm going to use Love Letter on this because I kind of like how that looks already. But I pulled them out just so that we can see. So, what is the easiest way to ink up die cuts? Well, you cut them out and then they're kind of floating all over the place. And then if they're little and you're using a big brush, they can be kind of annoying. You got one of these things going and you can't really hold it. So what do? One of my favorite things to do, I'm going to move these over. I'm not sure if we need to cut any more out, so I don't really want to put them away, but we can just move them for now. One of my favorite things to do is to use a silicone mat. This is from Imagine. There's a grid on one side, and then the other side is plain. I personally like to use the plain side. You can see it says Imagine here. Sorry, it doesn't fully fit in my frame, but this is great because you can easily ink blend on something delicate or small without having to worry about ripping it or shifting it or anything like that. So let me grab a couple of things to do that with. So one of the things that you can use are sponge daubers, and these are great because they're small, they can fit on your finger, and they can give you a really smooth blend if that's the look that you're going for. They're great for smaller areas. You don't necessarily want to use them on something really big unless you want like a bokeh effect or something like that. So I'm going to take Dandelion, and I'm going to just kind of do this around the edge. Now look, this is a pretty open piece, so it's going to shift a bit, but when we get to the circle, you'll see that it's not going to move nearly as much. So I'm just adding a bit of that Dandelion to give it some interest. You can see the variation in color here. I didn't touch the point. I didn't touch this point. And because this is so thin, I'm not going to try to like shade the edge only, although you can just pick this up and swipe it across the ink pad. But I don't really think that that's the look that I want for this. I kind of like this. It makes it look like it's almost shimmering, right? Because of the way the color is varied. So let's compare. See the difference? I think that looks cool. Okay, we're going to do that again, and then we'll move on to our orange. And you just want to do some quick sweeping motions. If you have blending brushes, you can use those. Again, you can go directly with the ink pad, but I wanted to show you how nice you can get this done when you're working on silicone. Okay, so we're going to work on our little circles now. I'm going to use the same dauber, and I'm not going to clean this up because this is a lighter color than this, and they're in the same family, so I don't need to worry about that. If I was doing red first, then I was going into green, I would clean this up. So we'll clean it up shortly. And you can see how quickly, I'm going to zoom in for you. I think that'll be better. There we go. You can see how quickly we can get a really cool effect. I'm not even going to go around the whole edge. I'm going to kind of make it look more spherical, like it's got this roundness to it, rather than just deepening the edges all the way around. Check that out. Really quick to do this effect. See the difference? All right, let's do it on the other one. This cardstock is textured, which I really like. Not that there's anything wrong with smooth cardstock. I just happen to really like having that little bit of extra texture. This is from a company that's no longer in business, but there are plenty of companies out there that have a textured cardstock. My Colors is one of them. Basil still has cardstock that's textured. Look at that. So easy, right? Okay, so now, again, I really don't think that I want to do anything to the red. I'm going to see what happens when we do the other colors if I really need it. I definitely want to do the green, though. So I'm going to just take some water. Memento inks are water-based, so you can watercolor with them if you want to. You can swipe them onto, your silicone mat or a glass surface, whatever, and paint with them if you want to. I think we're going to try doing the same thing again with just one side. Let's see how that looks. I think I'm going to go around the edge of the whole thing this time because I want to keep it different. But you can see just how quick this process is. Just to give each of these little die cuts some interest. We're up to Paris Dusk. This is a new dauber, but they coat pretty easily. You don't have to worry about breaking them in. Look at that. Isn't that fun? Such a difference. Now, if you don't have a silicone mat, you could always tape these to whatever your surface is that you're working on, just using some washi tape or some other type of low-tack tape, just kind of looping it and sticking it to the back. Another option is to use something like a gel press. That works really well. There are those sticky mats that are on the market now. You can use that too, but I don't mind using the silicone mat. I think it works out really nicely. Just quickly going around this edge, and then we'll see if we're going to do anything to the red. Now that I've done all of the other ones, and I like it so much, we might just hit it a little bit. This is Love Letter, and this is my favorite red to work with. There's a few reds in the Memento collection, but even beyond that, just in brands in general, this is really one of my favorites. I love this red. There we go. So just tinting that edge makes a big difference. We are ready to move on, and I just wanted to show you that a couple of minutes have elapsed since I've done these, and you can see that the color is much softer. The edges from the sponge dauber are not nearly as harsh, and the colors have dried back quite a bit and have smoothed out. So if you thought that before they were a little harsh, they have dried back quite nicely, and it's more subtle, and I like that. I didn't want it to be super harsh. So here are my thoughts. We're going to kind of build with these shapes. So again, we're playing with the idea of the colors and shapes that are on these toys. And my thought was that we would just kind of create this fun effect with all of these things and sort of collage them together, like so, and just sort of play with that, right? I think that's really cute. But beyond that, I need something else. We can't just have all of this, I don't want to say white space because it's craft cardstock, but this empty space, this negative space that's got like nothing going on. So my thought for that is stencils. So I grabbed a whole bunch of stencils from a Colorful Life Designs. These are 6x9 stencils, and I chose large ones specifically because this is a 12x12 piece of paper. So I want to be able to cover more area. Not that we're going to cover the whole background, but the ability to cover more space and not be limited to a 6x6. That's kind of where my head was. So we've got this one here. This is called, it's backwards, Wild Rings. I thought that was really fun and playful. This one is well loved and is called Flame Chevron. You can tell I really love that, but I thought it looked kind of cool with that. I've got this guy here. Everything is backwards. This is called Ladder. And then I have last Rolling Road, because I thought it might be kind of cool to have some cubes here and there because we've got this checkerboard happening in here. This is not a true checkerboard, but that's fine. It doesn't matter. It can be. Like there are other stencils out there that are checkerboard. A Colorful Life Designs definitely has checkerboard. But I liked this open kind of blocky thing that was going on. So we can't really adhere this until we have this down. I mean, we can, but then we have to worry about like, oh, is it going to be in the way and all of that. So what I'm going to do is move this off to the side for now. We'll play that with that again later. I just wanted you to see where we were headed, especially because I need to make sure that this child's face is covered and all of that. So we'll mess around with that later. But I'm thinking I really want to start with this Wild Rings because it's big and chunky and I think it'll be really fun. And then I'm thinking that we'll layer it with these blocks. Let's see. I don't know. We're going to play. Obviously, my photo is not adhered down. I like this one also because it's a mask, which means that there's no frame around it. So it's just a pattern that kind of, it can continue on. It doesn't have a defined, distinctive edge the way this does. Does that make sense? I hope so. Okay. I don't want it to be super dark or like over the top. I'm thinking that we're going to start with Pear Tart. Excuse me, not Pear Tart. That's a different green. This is New Sprout. We're going to start with this one. And for this, I'm going to use a blending brush because it's a little faster, a little easier. And that's what we're going to do. So another thing that you can use your silicone mat for, I've got it folded up now. It's great to hold your inks. So I'm going to reopen it because I think that'll be better. Okay. Now you can see, I don't even need to hold it with my other hand, which is awesome. So I've got this repositioned, and now I'm just going to go in with this color. And I don't want to go super heavy. With these blending brushes, you really have to build up layers if you want it to be heavy. And I don't want it heavy, so I'm happy about that. That's one of the reasons why I chose this. So just to give you an idea, it's subtle. It's subtle, but it's cool. And I don't want it to be perfect. We don't have to do every area. I don't want it to extend too far down. I just want to kind of give it a cool effect. See that? I do think that I want a little bit more over here. Take a look. That's fun. And then we can go in over here and add a different area because, again, it's a large stencil. So we're not going to have the pattern repeating and make it so obvious that it's like, okay, we kind of stuck a sticker here and stuck a sticker here kind of thing, you know? I hope that makes sense. Making it a little bit more organic looking. And it looks like absolutely nothing while I'm applying this ink because it's so light. But once I pull this up, you'll see how cool it looks. See? Moving on, I'm going to bring in Ladder. And I'm going to keep the photo here for now. And I want to slip the stencil underneath. I'm going to add a few lines softly with Paris Dusk. So we're talking like here. And it's going to overlap a little bit perhaps, but that's fine because I like that. And I'm just going in the direction of the stencil because I don't want to overdo it. See that? That's cool. I like it. I don't even know if I want to add any more to it. Don't like this. I should have masked that off. That's okay. We can fix it somehow. We'll figure it out. I went in with Tangelo and the Rolling Road stencil, and I added some of those cubes here and there. And I think it's so playful. Honestly, if you don't want to mess with the die cuts and all of that, you can just slap a sentiment on or a title, add a little journaling spot if that's your thing, and then call it a day. This is so cute as it is. I am considering adding a mat to this. I haven't fully committed yet, as you can see, but I just kind of like the idea of framing him out. It's a possibility. We'll see. So now we are going to go back to having the dies on the photo, and we're going to see how that all ties together. I think it's really cute. I like that it's subtle, but it's playful and fun. And now it's just a matter of like laying things out and kind of deciding where you want everything to go. So I'm going to work on that, and then I'll show you how we're going to adhere them easily. I've got this section glued down. I opted to not go with the mat. I'm not sure if I'm going to regret that later, but for now it is what it is. I'm not going to be able to change it. I have glued these down, and I'm going to show you how to do this easily. So I've got some press and seal. This is from Glad. You can get this at the supermarket or whatever major shopping superstore you go to. And what you do is you can put this down on a bunch of die cuts that you have at once, a bunch of embellishments, whatever. You've worked hard to arrange these, right? So you want to be able to put them back where you had them. So this press and seal is like, it's kind of like low-tack tape, right? Or a sheet of low-tack adhesive. So you want to just make sure you really press this down. I've used this piece a number of times, so it's not quite as sticky as it typically is, although it's never super sticky. And now I'm going to leave this piece attached here. Pull this whole, oh, I lost my orange circle. That's okay. We'll add it later. I just didn't push hard enough, but essentially all of these pieces are in place, right? So now we can just glue everything down where we want it and not worry that our arrangement got shifted. And by keeping it attached to the scrapbook page or card or tag or whatever it is that you're working on, you know that you're going to put it back down exactly where it's supposed to go. So now we can push this down. You can let it sit if you want to. I tend to be more impatient, so I burnish it a little bit just to kind of make sure that that glue is really adhered down. And then I just pull this back, and it's in the right spot. The only thing we have to worry about is our little sphere here, which is going to get tucked underneath. And again, that's really only because I have used that piece a number of times. So I'm going to just lift this up before it all dries and just kind of stick that back down there. Now, this area of the heart didn't get adhesive because the square was covering it. So I'm going to just add a little bit. And now that's all done. Easy peasy. Okay, I am going to work on getting a sentiment on here. Not a sentiment, a title. And I think that our layout is almost done. Normally, when I'm scrapbooking, I go for bold sentiments, but in this case, I don't think I'm going to. I want it to be a little bit more playful. So I have my beloved Noteworthy stamp set from Tim Holtz and Stampers Anonymous. If you don't have this stamp set and you need nice words that are not just happy birthday and thank you, this is it. I'm telling you, you got to get it. So I've got VersaFine Clair in Pinecone. I've got a teeny tiny block, and we're just going to put a few different things on here. So I think that I want to start, and we're going to hide this as best we can because that is making me bananas. I think that I want to start with the Blessed Are the Curious. Which wasn't what I was originally thinking, but I think it's gonna look really cute. So it's not gonna hide this line completely, but it's gonna kind of get your mind off of it a little bit. You're not gonna notice it quite as much. Now I have the Love You. And the Own Your Dreams. That might be enough. We'll see. That is super cute. I like it a lot. I feel like we need something else, so we're going to do the Shine Brightly right up here. Perfect. Yep, that's exactly what it needed. I think that this came out really cute, and I love it. And I'm crazy about this picture, and I'm glad that I finally have it on a page. I hope you enjoyed this video. Hope you learned a couple of things. You don't need much to make a great scrapbook page. A few colors of inks, some stencils, maybe some die cuts, and just have a good time playing. So thanks so much for hanging out with me. I will be back very soon with another video, and I will see you then. Be well, stay safe. Peace out.